y'all? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Alex here from Shuffle S.H.R.E.D, and I'm gonna explain to you how to get just a little bit more swaggy in your shuffle dance. This tip is so ridiculously easy, and I literally think that I shout it from the rooftops all the time, but it needs its own quick little full-length tutorial here. So if you feel like your shuffling right now either feels a little bit bouncy, like, not that there's anything wrong with bouncy, I just want to say it's based on your opinion of what you want in your flow, but I hear this a lot, so we need to address it. So if you feel a little too bouncy, if you feel a little stiff, this could definitely solve it. This could be why, okay? Overall, this is just gonna add more swagger and more of a grounded vibe to your shuffling, okay? So if your shuffling looks and feels like this right now, right? Nothing wrong with this. I'm chilling. But you want it to look a little bit more like the first video that you watched when you got here. This is what we're gonna work on today. Number one, you need to bend your knees more. I should have wore tight pants today because you need to see the amount that my knees are bending. One thing that I have seen in so many of the dancers that I feel have a ton of swagger, and that this is in all dance styles, by the way, this is not just shuffling, this is included in like that bounce we see in hip hop, we see in krump, a lot of other dance styles, but it often comes from, it always comes from, bending into the knees. When we are shuffling, especially when you start applying this concept, it's gonna feel weird, but when we are shuffling, oftentimes we think we're bent into our knees enough, and oftentimes we're not bent into our knees at all. I see a lot of locked knees in shuffling, especially in cutting shapes. I see a lot of really stiff knees there when we really could afford to ground down a tiny bit more to feel more efficient, to feel more swaggy, etc. But we also see a ton of people standing very upright. And that is tip number two, is that we're gonna not only bend into the knees more, but we're actually gonna hinge forward at the hips a little bit more. So I'm gonna break down the anatomy of this. I'm gonna pick 4 different movements, 2 shuffle fundamentals and 2 cutting shapes movements, okay? So right now, let's talk about the running man. If you feel like your running man is like this, nothing wrong with this, right? My knee is not like straight or locked out or anything. That's a whole other conversation. But it just feels like you want to feel a little bit more swaggy, a little bit more close to the ground, like you have that cool, like raw energy. First thing you're gonna need to do in your triangle is sink into the knees more, making sure the core is nice and tight, because then you're also going to hinge forward at the hips. And as I was saying before, at first, this is gonna feel weird. You're gonna be like, I'm way too bent. I look like a little gremlin, but it's okay because that's what creates cool shuffling. At least for me, the more like gremlin-like I look, the cooler and smoother I end up looking. So maybe that's just like my body type. Maybe it'll look different on you, but it's okay if your knees are bent, okay? If you feel like you're bent enough, I want you to sink into it maybe like a millimeter or 2 more and ask yourself, are my glutes and my quads and my hamstrings starting to fire up right now? So if the answer is no, you need to get lower, okay? Sink in, let those big muscles turn on. And then when we're working with this upper body, it's very important that hinging at the hips does not lead to rounding at the shoulders. Like, we're not trying to we wanna still keep a tall chest, and we want to be able to tighten that core and hinge forward at the hips, which can create this type of motion in our running man, okay? Doing this with the T-step. The technique is very similar across the board, but I wanna show you the difference, and I want you to try it and feel it, okay? With our T-step, which side do we wanna do? Which way? Let's go this way, okay? In our T-step, same thing. I'm gonna show you going, this is horizontal for me, and then I'm gonna show you going vertical towards you, which would technically be horizontal since to the side now, but you know. Okay, first thing, if you're standing very upright, your knees are relatively straight, your T-step's gonna feel like this. Nothing wrong with this, right? But it does feel a little bit bouncy. It doesn't feel grounded. It doesn't have that like, kind of swagger into it. So from this point, same thing. When you're in your perch, you're about to go into your T-step. First thing I want you to do is sink down into that base leg. Is your glute gonna be on fire if you stood here for a minute? Yes or no? Sink down a little bit more if you have to, okay? Maintain that. Don't start here and then ride the elevator up to a straight leg. I don't know what my tapping foot did there, but up to a straight leg when you get to the other side. Keep the grounded energy and then hinging at the hip. So now I can bend over, but like we need to make sure that you're hinging from those hips. We need to make sure that it's complementary to what's happening on that base leg. So when you're here, you're gonna hinge, your bum is gonna stick out a tiny little bit. Think of it as counterbalancing what's happening at the front. And then this is actually gonna allow you, this is kind of the next level, but I wanna demonstrate it, to use your chest while you're T-stepping as well, right? Even if I didn't totally focus on my chest right now, I immediately am more grounded. My chest literally has to move in this motion. I think it's kind of just a byproduct, which is great because now we're involving the upper body, right? It's not that we're just tapping around with the lower body and the upper body is kind of just like stiff and disconnected, okay? I'm gonna show you from the side. So again, here, and it doesn't matter which leg I'm doing this on because you need to do it on both, okay? That's why I'm not teaching from the back because it's less about which leg I'm doing and it's more about bend into the knees, hinge at the hips, okay? Same thing on this side. If I'm upright, if my knees are straight, my T-steps like this, looks pretty good. I also want to say that it feels a little bit difficult because I'm kind of just like going wherever the wind takes me rather than grounding into my weight and controlling it on the floor. Now we're going to ground down. I'm going to pick up into my flamingo, my perch, and I'm going to hinge forward at the hips just a little, keeping my chest high. My T-step's going to look like this. Right? You can see my shoulder immediately wants to get in there. Like so many things happen just by this simple motion, okay? We're gonna do 2 more examples. I'm gonna speed through them. I don't need to explain this to you anymore. You probably get the point, but I wanna break it down in cutting shapes as well. So we're gonna look at our scissor, AKA switchblade right now, which is this, right? Your hands could be wherever they want. A lot of people, we have a straight leg on the front and a straight leg on the back. Although the front leg can be straight because there's not actually any weight or any load bearing on it when we're in our switchblade, all the weight is at the back. It's also okay to bend the knee a little bit, right? This is where I'm like, I should have wore tight pants, but hopefully y'all can see the difference between this and this, just slightly easing into my knee, okay? At the front, that's a fashion statement choice for you. If you still want to straighten that leg, just note it's going to take your foot further from the base, which is going to make it harder. I don't make the rules, but that's how it works. Okay, so also bending into the knee allows that front foot to stay close and connected to the back foot, which means you're going to have a lot more seamless and efficient transitions between your switchblade. Okay, so from here, if I'm kind of upright and just upright, period, it's gonna look like this, right? Feels a little bit stiff. I kind of feel like I'm flopping, like I feel clunky, versus if I bend down, it looks like this. See how my hips are so much more activated? I'm moving a lot more fluid. I'm in that grounded state. I'm not going up and down, okay? Last one that I want to bring up is the crossblade, AKA Polly Pocket. Some people call it the diagonal running man, the X-step. This name has 5 million names. I call it the crossblade, okay? And that is this, right? If the knees are straight, it's basically the same as the scissor, AKA switchblade. If the knees are straight and the hips are completely upright, it's gonna look like this, right? Even if I let my arms flow loose, I don't want to be a total stiff board. Compared to hinging at the hips just slightly, it's a little bit less with this movement, but bending into those knees, and it looks like this. Notice how much more mobility I have, okay? The options are endless, the benefits are endless, the efficiency is endless, and probably the safety on your body long-term because you're activating those larger muscles is so much better.